The media's Russia disinformation lie to protect the Bidens blows up in their faces. Time magazine names its Person of the Year. FDA is dragging its feet on vaccine approval, and Chinese espionage rings in the U.S. Welcome, friends, to the Buck Sexton Show. I know it is nothing new that the media lies to you. We've said it on this show so many times that it's almost like an unofficial mantra. But the media does lie to you constantly. They lie to all Americans. They lie to themselves. But you've seen a shift, and this is clear with the Hunter Biden story as we now have it, because it's a condensed enough period on an important enough issue that it's clear as day what's going on here. Let me tell you, the old model or the old thinking about this was that the mainstream media lies to you largely out of a subconscious bias. They don't even know how liberal they are. They don't even know how much they're Democrat activists pretending to do journalism. So what they do is, to them, completely fair-minded. Now, that's insane, and it's obviously wrong and delusional, but they at least can consider themselves, they at least think they have that going for them. They believe that at whatever level. But now when you see what's happened with this Hunter Biden storyline, which I'm still not sure that alone would have had a dramatic effect on the election, but we can't know. That's the problem. That's the point. Now it's too late. We can't run the experiment again. But the Hunter Biden story was suppressed in such a way that anyone can see. It is very clear. It is very obvious that they did this intentionally, and they did this without any remorse, without any sense that they were betraying their professions, that they have scruples or ethics. It's not about that anymore. This is the change. It's not that they think they're being fair-minded. Now they just weaponize whatever they've got. Now it's out. It's all out in the open. They are on Team Destroy Trump, Team Help Biden. That's what they're doing. That is the plan. It's what's going on here. So the media is a disgrace, and social media has now amplified it. And I believe that there is right now a greater degree of aggressiveness and brazenness from the mainstream media than there's been in a long time, because they've got social media now running cover for them. So they figure now is the time. Now is their moment. Crush the opposition, lie to everyone's faces, get away with it, rub our noses in it. That's what they're doing. What examples could I point to on this? Oh, there are countless ones right now. But let's just start before I get into how disgraceful and dishonest they were on this story, and how it's clear now, and this is the real takeaway. This was not an accident. They didn't really think that the Hunter Biden laptop was stolen or hacked. That was all a lie. And they knew it was a lie. They didn't really believe any of this was Russian disinformation. They knew that was a lie. The point now is that with social media running cover for them, backing them up, magnifying their lies, they feel comfortable doing whatever they've got to do to achieve power. They don't care. They don't care that you and I know. I think that's important. We used to believe that if we held a light up to them, if we were able to express our outrage at how they violated their principles and they're not really being journalists, that there was some cause and effect there, that there would be some responsiveness from their side. I mean, I think that was always overstated, but they don't care what you think. They don't care what anybody who's not a Biden-supporting, Trump-hating leftist thinks. They simply do not care. Does not matter to them. We are now in a post-journalism world in this country, where all we have are these warring propaganda machines. And now propaganda can be for the good, right? The Allies engaged in propaganda during World War II against the Nazis. It was good propaganda, right? So let's understand that that word can usually have a negative connotation, but What else? We could call it polemics. We could call it fierce debate, whatever you want to say. We have to defeat their arguments, and we have to actually defeat their power grabs, or else they'll just continue to do this and continue to get away with it. So here we have perfect example. I mean, and there's so many examples that we could choose from, but here's a perfect example of this. Politico, which considers itself to be an insidery politics first publication in D.C. I mean, it's a bunch of libs. Politico is for people who couldn't get jobs at the New York Times, but, we're almost there, pretty close. And they put out this before the election. I mean, you look at this stuff and it's just amazing. Hunter Biden's story, this is before the election, this is in October, is Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. More than 50 former intelligence officials signed a letter casting doubt on the provenance of a New York Post story on the former president's son. What does that even mean? Who cares what 50 former intelligence officials think about the New York Post reporting? What do they know about it that the New York Post doesn't? The answer was nothing. But this was a smokescreen. This was a classic smokescreen operation. Just put something up there to obscure what's really going on. That's what they did. Now you go to the story from this week. Justice Department's interest in Hunter Biden covered more than taxes. Actually covered, federal prosecutors also investigated foreign ties, including possible money laundering. Money laundering is a serious crime. It's a federal felony. You can go to prison for quite a few years for that one. So this is the same publication a few weeks apart. And I think that our belief, that what we will usually fall back on our side is, see, look at how dumb they look. Ha ha, the journos are being silly journos again. And I'm here to tell you that's not how they view it. The New York Times, CNN, the Washington Post, MSNBC, all the major news publications, platforms, channels across the country that are not explicitly right of center, all of them now have trended toward this. But the big players in the space, CNN, the Times, the Post, they don't do these things and then feel embarrassed when they get caught. They're doing them now and they're saying, what are you going to do about it? And the answer, and I'm going to tell you this, and not a lot of other people will, the answer on the right is, we got to figure that out. Because we don't have a good answer yet. And people ask me, what can we do? And I share all of their frustration. I mean, I'm seething over stuff like this. When I dig into it, I'm doing this research. I just want to just shout profanity when I see this stuff happening. But they do it now, and they look you in the eyes, and they say, that's right, and it worked. This is the Harry Reid school. And the Democrats do this all the time, and the media now is just open about it. Remember what Harry Reid said about the completely baseless smear? I'm no Mitt Romney fan, as you know, but Mitt Romney has always paid his taxes. Okay, Mitt Romney is not a guy who hasn't filed tax returns in 10 years. No way. That Boy Scout, absolutely not. Okay, that guy pays his taxes. Is he rich? Is he a plutocrat? Is he a sellout? Sure, but by the way, not that there's anything wrong with being rich. We should all be so lucky. But here we are now looking at the true manifestation of the philosophy that Harry Reid very clearly outlined for us when he was asked, sir, what do you think now about the fact that you lied about Mitt Romney's tax returns? He clearly did. His response was, well, he didn't win, did he? That's what the entire mainstream media, they're all laughing at us now behind closed doors. We sit here and we say, see, you guys don't do what you say you're going to do. And they giggle in our faces and say, oh, yeah, sorry, I guess we made that mistake. I guess we had a little bit of a slip up on the Hunter Biden stuff. We'll do better in the next election, sure. In the meantime, enjoy being shut down. Enjoy having your conservative websites and commentators, people like me, shut down on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. And who knows what Google's doing. Google's the most powerful company in the world right now. Google's the most powerful company in the world, all in. We don't even know what they're doing. Who do you think is going to stop them? Oh, you think a bunch of Republicans who are getting a lot of money from big tech? You think Mike Lee is going to all of a sudden be the great savior of the republic against the big tech oligarchs who are handing our country over to the radical left? I don't think so. Not that guy. Here we are, seeing it. Couldn't be any more clear, couldn't be any more obvious. They do this now and they don't apologize. They do it because it is the mission. This is not something that just occurs. This isn't an unwanted byproduct of their political aspirations. This is how they do what they do. And now we get to what can we all do about it? The answer is stop trusting them on anything. Don't read them. Don't support them. Don't click on them. Don't accept it when they put someone forward who's, oh, well, we've got some conservative voices at CNN. No, they don't. They do not. Not that are worth a damn. So don't do it. You all have the ability to vote with your dollars. You all have the ability to be a part of this movement based on who you support, who you listen to, who you help. And I tell you openly, please make me one of them. If you're listening to this show, get as many people as you can in your orbit to listen to this, because you think they're being told this message elsewhere? Do you think that any friend of yours, and you know good patriotic Americans who probably aren't that into the news cycle, aren't as into politics as you are if you're listening to this, you know, they're listening to, you know, NPR and they're listening to PBS and they're trying to get information too, and they're just being constantly propagandized too. They're being brainwashed. It's not their fault. Brainwashing is very effective. If you study and if you look at cults, there's actually some stories on this recently. A lot of very smart people fall for cults, usually because they think they're too smart to fall for a cult. Same thing is true of brainwashing. You've got to be very aware. You've got to be self-effacing. And the dominant media, unfortunately, the liberal media, the mainstream, they're achieving a position again where they can just fully stifle the other side. They don't have to pretend anymore that there should be balance in media and, equal time and fairness doctrine and all this stuff. No. They want, the same way they want absolute political dominance, they're going for absolute media dominance. And they're in a better position now than they've been in a very long time. And we all need to be aware of that. Fox News alone and a handful of, radio personalities and a couple of publications, not enough. Not enough. If it were enough, Joe Biden wouldn't have gotten however many, 70 or 80 million votes, I think is what they're saying now, right? 84 million? Or 80 million? I mean, Joe Biden, he got 10 million more than Obama, right? So let's call it 80 million. Joe Biden wouldn't have been able to get that. But the propaganda machines are very powerful. And I know there's more we'll dig into with this Hunter Biden stuff. I've also seen people now calling. Did anyone call for a special counsel into Hunter Biden before I did? I'm just curious because I put that out on Twitter and it started to catch fire. And now I'm hearing a lot of people say, oh, we should have a special counsel for Hunter Biden. Yeah, we should. In fact, this is a perfect example of what we should have a special counsel for. A criminal investigation involving the son of a possibly incoming president. That's when you appoint it, and you appoint it now. You don't wait until there's another president who happens to be the one whose son would be under criminal investigation. But we need to reorient our thinking a bit on this. We've caught them in the fraud about it's. No one really could have believed it was Russian disinformation, but that was the disinformation. The claim was the deceit. That was the whole point. And at some level, it was successful. At some level, it worked. And all that means is they're going to do it again. There's no good faith. There's no common ground. There's no reaching across to the other side of the media and saying, can't we all agree on the following? Can't we have fair rules of the road? No. We are now in an all-out political media war. That's where we are. We need to understand that, and everybody has a role to play. Everybody can choose who they watch, who they listen to, who they tell their friends, who they support, and the ideas that come with all of that. So you absolutely every day are making choices that play a role in this fight. Don't forget that. It's going to be a different holiday season. You know that. There's all these restrictions in place, things shutting down, and it's tougher to get to spend time with your loved ones or even get to see them. But you can still reach out, brighten up their holiday, tell them Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, just by sending them beautiful flowers. And you can do this with Bloomsy Box. Reach out this holiday and let them know how much you care, even if you can't see them. I have Bloomsy Box flowers coming to me as part of a subscription at home. I've got them for my girlfriend. I'm sending them to family members. They're amazing. These are fresh from the farm flowers. When they arrive, you'll see they're just about to bloom. They'll last for a long time, and they're beautiful. BloomsyBox.com. That's where you go. Bloomsy Box, BLOOMSY box.com, and use the promo code BUCK. That'll get you 15% off. It's a great deal. BloomsyBox.com. This holiday season, you've got just a few days left here to get them sent before Christmas. BloomsyBox.com, promo code BUCK for 15% off. Now let's get into some of the best exchanges to identify the smug, intentional dishonesty and overall idiocy of so many in the mainstream media. And we're talking about some of the most established names in journalism. People who have a fancy accent and work on a specific kind of presentation on television. And then everyone's supposed to think they're so smart just because they have this very pompous accent, and it's all really just like they're an actor, but we think they're smart anyway for no reason. Christiane Amanpour, you'll remember perhaps. She had this exchange when the Hunter Biden laptop was exposed. When we got into all this, she had this exchange on CNN, and you got to hear it. Play one.
Okay, you know what also the United States government says? The FBI says this laptop is not Russian disinformation. So what are you talking about here? This laptop is real. It's not just the laptop. There's other emails. There's text messages. They are real. So according to the U.S. government, the FBI has verified this.
Everybody to look at that, but that's not what we're hearing from the FBI.
Why don't you want to report this? This is one of the most powerful families in Washington. The Biden family. And you're okay? You're okay with our interests being sold out to profit Joe Biden and his family when we're suffering during a pandemic from communist China? He's doing shady business deals with communist China. You're comfortable, okay?
As you know perfectly well, I'm a journalist and a reporter, and I follow the facts. And there has never been any issues in terms of corruption. Now, let me ask you this. Yesterday, the FBI...
FBI... How do you know that?
I'm talking about reporting and any evidence. I'm talking to you now.
Okay, I would love if you guys would start doing that digging and start doing that verification.
No, we're not going to do your work for you. I want to ask you a question. The FBI,
it's a journalist's job. It's a journalist's job to find out if this is verified.
How much insane crap can Christiane Amanpour say in one interview? I just want to know. This is on CNN. In some ways, their longest running and best known host. I mean, Amanpour goes back to the Larry King days, and she's saying, "I'm a journalist." She also says that's not what we're hearing from the FBI. It was the most obvious news story ever. They had the guy's laptop. They had all of his personal information. It was clearly his laptop. But the problem is that Amanpour, after all this, you think she looks like a moron, so she'd be upset? No. Probably got a pat on the head, maybe even a bonus from Jeff Zucker for this disinformation. I got a crash course in home title theft recently, and you better pray this crime never happens to you because it goes after your most valuable asset, your home. Here's how it works. The bad guys, cyber thieves, they find your home's title online, then they use a quitclaim deed to kick you off, put themselves on, then they start taking out loans against your home. You won't find out about this usually until you get payment demands in the mail, perhaps even a foreclosure notice. The usual identity theft services do not protect you. You have to go with my friends at Home Title Lock. All you have to do is go to HomeTitleLock.com, use the promo code RADIO. They'll help you create a virtual barrier around your home's title. You'll get 30 free days of protection with promo code radio. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code radio for 30 free days of protection. And you can check online to see if you're a victim of this crime and don't even know it yet. HomeTitleLock.com, promo code radio for 30 free days of protection.
I wish you would interview Joe Biden like you interview me. It would be so good. You know what?
You like this, I thought. I thought you liked
I don't mind it. But when I watch him walk out of a store, and he's walking with ice cream, and the question the media asks him, what kind of ice cream, what flavor ice cream do you have? And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking, of course he is, Leslie.
Come on.
Of course he is. It's the biggest, second biggest scandal.
So,
the biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify
It's been totally verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that.
Okay.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't apparently read any of the various lengthy reports from the DOJ on this, or what the Congress and the various oversight committees have proven. And no, this is 60 Minutes. We don't do facts that make Democrats sad on the inside. That's what she's telling you. Again, looks like an idiot to anybody who knows anything about Russia collusion. The Attorney General of the United States said and used the word spying on the campaign. And was and backed it up afterwards. They said, "Oh, you didn't really mean spying." He said, "No, I meant spying on the campaign." That's the sitting attorney general. But 60 Minutes knows better. This is 60 Minutes. Unbelievable. It's all a fraud, friends. They're. You know how Satan is the father of lies? The mainstream media is the grandfather of lies. Okay, they're coming up with this stuff all the time, and they don't care. You catch them, it does not matter because they're doing it for a reason. The reason is not to inform people. It is to please their Democrat audience, to make them feel happy on the inside, and to crush conservatives. That is why they exist. They do not exist for the truth. They do not exist to tell you things as they are. And they don't care when you catch them anymore. That's the big difference now. There's no pretense. Just think, here's a perfect example of the transition that I'm talking about. Go back, just you can do a time constrained Google search, put it in the tools and you go to the dates. Go back and do a search 5 years ago on social media bias against conservatives. And all these websites would say, "Oh, but we don't do it all." And the social media platforms, "Oh, that was a mistake. Oh, we didn't mean to do that. Oh, no. And now it's gone to the point where they're just going, "Yeah, what are you going to do about it?" That's right. We are attacking you. We are coming after you. We are shutting you down and cutting you off. And get ready for the possibility here of Joe Biden getting a televised shiatsu massage for the next 4 years. I mean, it's going to be embarrassing. Joe's going to be, every interview, it's going to be the equivalent of Joe Biden saying, "Yeah, no joke. My shoulder's really, man, it's tight up there. And yeah, that's right. Get into those knots. Yeah. A little more oil." Yeah, that's right. That's what the media is going to be doing to Joe Biden for 4 years. If he is president and if he lasts 4 years in office. Because let's be honest, friends, we're already seeing some very interesting indicators, aren't we? No, and I don't know this. I'm thinking this one through as I talk to you. But sure, the media is now coming clean on the Hunter Biden stuff. And I shouldn't say coming clean. They have to now drop the facade. But why now? Why are they dropping the facade now? They probably could have extended this out a little bit longer, waited until after the inauguration. Why do it now? And they don't seem upset about this at all. And remember that they are a bunch of conniving, backstabbing, behind-the-scenes manipulators. That's what the mainstream media is full of. So why would they all of a sudden be so calm about clearly very negative revelations about Joe Biden that aren't really revelations, as you know? I mean, it's even tough to talk about this because the words that we end up using in this is not a news story. This is just the media saying, whoopsie, lied to you, sorry, but not sorry. That's really the media's new mantra. Sorry, not sorry. They don't care. That's all this is. Why is this happening now? Why is this occurring in this moment? I have told you all along, it is my belief that Kamala Harris was very likely to take over for Joe Biden early in a Biden administration, and that this would work out for all those involved. As far as the Democrats are concerned, Joe Biden gets to be a hero, the savior of our democracy from the clutches of Trump and Trumpism, and hand it over to the first black female president. After being vice president for 8 years, the first black president, right? So Joe Biden gets to be a hero for the ages. In fact, if you look at the legacy of Biden versus, say, the legacy of the Clintons, Biden, if he pulls this off, will be a more revered name. And who would have thought that could have been the case? But here we are. I'm talking about among Democrats. Great hero to the party. And I think that we all need to see that that's, given Biden's age, right? If Biden were like a strapping guy of, if he was in his early 60s and, looked like, I think when Bush came into office, I remember someone telling me who was in that White House that, he could run multiple miles under 7 minutes. And he was like a young, vital guy. And then, of course, after 8 years of being president, he looked like he had aged about 30 years. But, if Biden were even in his early 60s, I would say, or just his 60s, I'd say, yeah, he's going to make it. He's going to go all 8 years. Guys, he's going to be 80 soon. And those of you who have people in your lives who, the difference for a lot of people, not for all people, and so I don't need to get the emails from our wonderful Team Buck audience who are in their 80s who could still kick my butt. I know that you're out there. But for a lot of people, the difference between 70 and 80 is really substantial. And just in terms of their energy and that's okay. It's true for all of us. This is no way is this anything other than an observation. When I'm 70, it's going to be different than when I'm 80. Gosh, I'm going to be 40 soon, and feels very different from when I was 30, I got to tell you. So we all have this understanding. Joe Biden is going to deteriorate more in office with all the pressure and stress under him in terms of his aging and everything else. And it's so easy for him to step aside. But I think the media wants him to. This could be, and this is really where I'm going with this analysis, this could be the greatest bait and switch. This could be the biggest maneuver in politics in our lifetime. They essentially get this guy who doesn't seem that radical, at least that's what they're saying, and they push this guy and all this stuff. And then they just replace him with somebody who's completely willing to do whatever the corporate left wants. Emphasis on corporate. Kamala Harris is a liberal, but she likes the dollar bills. She's somebody who wants the Googles and the Facebooks and the Soros Foundation, and she wants all that to be on her, Planned Parenthood, all that's got to be on her side. And they're on the side of the radical left, as we know anyway. But I can't help but notice that there's a sense here of, turns out maybe Joe Biden does have some problems, and the left isn't fighting this enough. They're not even trying to run cover on it right now. They're just saying, yeah, sorry. They don't care, as I've said to you. They don't care, but they could have held it a little bit longer. Look, maybe I'm reading further into this than I should. That's always possible. But I don't think Joe Biden makes it to the midterms. I really don't. And you have this time meaning that he voluntarily steps aside for health reasons, which would be not there would never be a way to prove that was planned versus that was the reality. There's a very decent chance Joe Biden could have a real health reason to step aside in the next 4 years, right? That wouldn't be a surprise. So the door is wide open for it. But I think, and I'm not talking so much about this Biden thing because I've given up, so you don't need to tell me that. I haven't given up yet. I had Sean Parnell on yesterday. We're taking this thing to the Supreme Court, and all it takes is one big break in the dam. That's what it takes. And it could be this Pennsylvania case. And it'd be amazing if my buddy Sean was part of the legal effort that changed history, but he knows it's a long shot. He's told you that, but it's still a shot. But with Biden, I'm just sensing now, this is at least the media's thinking and the Democrat Party's thinking, which is why this Time magazine thing is just so interesting. Who do you think the Time magazine person of the year is? Person of the year. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Not the people that have put together a vaccine that might give us back our lives within the next 6 months, because that's really what it's going to be. Not the people that have done that. Not our frontline healthcare workers. They've done this sort of group thing before. They'll say that the person of the year and they'll name a group of people. No. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, person of the year. Time magazine. This is the only thing that anyone ever talks about with Time magazine, just because it's had this ability to put this stamp of person on the year for going back, I don't even know now how many decades, 50, 60, 70 years, whatever, maybe more than that. I have no idea. So we still say this, but it just shows you where the mentality is right now. They couldn't just put Joe Biden on that cover. They had to put Kamala Harris. They had to put the vice president. Joe Biden, they think, won this election. That's what we're all being told has happened. Of course, no fraud at all. Of course there was fraud. But Joe Biden won this election, and here we are now, seeing that Kamala Harris shares the cover with him. Time magazine. These are little indicators. These are things that in the media world, you always pay attention to what the photo placement is in the media world. Who's in the center, who's on the sides, who has a good photo picked of them, who has kind of a crappy photo picked of them. Because there's decisions going into all this all the time, which is why people in the media are usually so crazy and finicky about stuff like this. But they put Kamala on that cover for a reason, friends. That much I know. Make sure you go check out bucksexton.com. We got Judge Emmett Sullivan as the new face of Trump derangement syndrome. That's a story up there. And we've also got Dems were effective in distracting from their own skeletons in the closet, bucksexton.com, breaking down all that for you. A lot of what you hear on the show, we're going to be writing up and putting on that site. And you got to check it out, bucksexton.com. Make it a homepage. Check in throughout the day. You can listen to the podcast there, too, so you can always just share that site with somebody and say, hey, this is where you can listen to this guy's radio show. All right. Now, what is the reality of the Georgia election that's coming up? We've got to be focused in on this thing. I think I worry about the psychology of the right at this point in time because Trump supporters look, I get it. People are upset. They're dejected. We got people talking about the road to secession here, right? This is upsetting. It's an emotionally challenging period. I'll put it that way. A lot of other words I'd like to use, but this is a family show. It's an emotionally challenging period. It is messed up, you could say. That's family friendly. But if we don't get our heads right and get into this fight in Georgia and make sure that these Senate runoffs go our way, then we really got problems. No matter what, we can focus as much as we need to and push and support, and people are sending donations and they're keeping the story alive and they're spreading word about the fraud. And I think we also don't have enough time, which has always been my concern here. They keep saying, well, where's the fraud? Show us the proof. And I say, well, how long is you got to go? And they're talking to tens of millions, over 100 million votes. You're not looking at them everywhere, obviously, only in certain states and certain precincts, but it's a big operation. And you got to go and do hand recounts and check signatures. This takes time, and we don't have a lot of time. But that said, this Georgia election, the Democrats are hoping that we don't show up. Those of us who live in and are registered in the state of Georgia, of course, because we don't commit fraud. That's what Democrats do. Mike Pence is telling everybody, I know Trump and Pence are out there pushing for Loeffler and for Perdue. And here's Pence making the very straightforward case that we got to show up for this thing. Play 5.
I know we all got doubts about this last election. I know I do. But I actually hear some people saying here in the Peach State, just don't vote. For my fellow Americans, if you don't vote, they win. If you don't vote, there could be nothing to stop Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi from cutting our military, raising taxes, and passing their agenda to the radical left. So I want to say to you from my heart, for all we've done, for all we have yet to do, for our president, for our future, for Georgia, and for America, cast another vote for all President Trump has accomplished. Cast a vote to send David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler back to the United States Senate.
He's absolutely right. In fact, my only criticism would be that if they took the Senate majority, it would be a lot scarier than just raising taxes and cutting the military back a bit. It would get much worse than that. They will go for long-term, strategic, structural changes to the American political landscape so that then they can win on any issue. Then it's just a question of what their base wants, what the Democrats decide to do. They don't have to worry about, oh, we're going to get thumped in the midterms because we'll make a difference. That's what eliminating the filibuster, statehood for D.C. and Puerto Rico, and amnesty and packing the courts would accomplish. And you just lay it out right there. We're not winning another election for 30 or 40 years if they get those things done, and they know it.